People don't always say, "I regret losing you." Sometimes they just act weird around your silence. My friends, let's not sugarcoat it. Regret doesn't always knock on your door wearing an apology and holding flowers. Nah, sometimes it shows up in silence, in hesitation, in awkward behavior, in stories that seem a little too happy. They might not say it, but that doesn't mean they don't feel it. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. They regret losing you, but their ego won't let them say it out loud. Before we break this down piece by piece, if you've ever felt that unspoken shift, where someone's energy changes but their words don't, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what you're about to hear isn't just another breakup story, it's the truth behind the silence. So get comfortable. We're going deep. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a lighthouse, calm, steady, shining your light out into the storm. And for a while they anchored themselves to your shore, took your presence for granted, thought you'd always be there. But one day, the light didn't shine for them anymore. Not out of revenge, not out of hate, but because you finally realized you were guiding someone who didn't want to be saved. That's when everything changed. Not for you, but for them. At first, they probably told themselves you were just mad, that you'd come back, that it was a phase. But days turned into weeks, and your silence didn't come from bitterness. It came from power, from clarity, and suddenly your quiet became louder than any text they could send. That's when regret starts to whisper. And ego? Oh, ego starts screaming over it. See, they didn't expect you to stop reaching. They didn't expect you to stop proving. And they sure as hell didn't expect you to stop needing them. But you did. And here's where it gets real. We've been lied to, haven't we? We've been taught to believe that if they don't say they regret it, they don't feel it. That silence equals peace. That if they post happy stories, they've moved on. But the truth is this. Ego hates humility, and regret often wears a mask made of pride. Folks, sometimes the loudest "I miss you" is hidden in the quietest distance. They'll pretend it doesn't bother them. They'll act like you never mattered. But late at night, when the phone is quiet and nobody's watching, they scroll through old photos. They replay your words. They feel the gap you used to fill, not with noise, but with consistency, with patience, with something they now realize wasn't ordinary at all. And the best part? You didn't have to prove anything. You just had to stop over-giving. You stopped over-explaining. You pulled back not to punish, but to protect. You remembered who you are. That's Stoicism. That's power without performance. This video is going to expose the truth they won't say out loud. We're going to break the lies that say they've moved on clean. We'll talk about the signs, the unspoken ones, the subtle ways regret leaks out when ego's not paying attention. Because if you've ever been left wondering if they regret losing you, but they're too proud to admit it, then what you're about to hear will hit different. So do me a favor. Type "silent but seen" in the comments if you've ever felt the shift. If you've ever been the calm after the chaos. If you've ever chosen peace over performance. This one's for the grounded souls. The ones who don't chase, because they already know their worth. Let's get into it. Stay with me. Number 1, they expected you to break first. You didn't. They weren't ready for your silence. They were only prepared for your reaction. They thought you'd fold, that the silence would eat you alive, that you'd break down, check in, ask if they're okay, beg for answers. Because that's what they've seen before, because that's what most people do when they're left hanging. Most people chase what confuses them, but not you. See, they expected chaos, a long message, an outburst, a "why did you do this to me" moment. But what they got was the most uncomfortable thing their ego could ever sit with: stillness. That's what threw them off. You didn't beg. You didn't protest. You didn't plead for closure. You just stopped. Imagine this. They were playing a game of emotional chess, making all the moves, assuming you'd play along, react, take the bait. But instead of responding, you stood up, walked away from the board, and let them play against their own shadow. That's when the regret begins. Not in the moment you leave, but in the moment they realize you're not coming back. And now they're left with questions they never thought they'd ask themselves. What if they really meant it when they left? What if I pushed too far? Why didn't they chase me like everyone else? They don't say these things out loud. Oh no, that would mean admitting they lost control. But deep inside, these thoughts are brewing like a storm beneath a frozen lake. On the surface, still. Underneath, cracking. Here's the part nobody talks about. Regret doesn't show up with a sign that says, "You mattered." It shows up in subtle shifts, in how often they check your page but don't engage, how they post more, but it all feels forced, how they avoid your name but still orbit around your energy. That's not peace. That's a person who expected to see you shattered and instead saw you centered. Because you didn't break, and that unsettles them. Why? Because your strength broke the pattern, and when you break the pattern, you break their illusion of control. You flip the dynamic without saying a single word. That's Stoicism. That's the power of not needing to be heard to make a statement. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You understood that chasing closure was bondage. You let go, not of them, but of the need to be chosen by someone who didn't choose you fully the first time. And that choice, my friend, shattered everything they thought they understood about you. They assumed you were emotionally dependent, that your calm demeanor was a mask, that eventually you'd break character and come running. But silence? Silence is only scary when you don't like the sound of your own thoughts. And now that silence is all they hear. This is why it's difficult for them to admit they regret losing you, because the moment they do, they also have to admit you were the steady one, the consistent one, the real one. And in their story, they weren't ready to paint themselves as the one who let that go. So they stay silent. Not because they've moved on, but because they're stuck between ego and truth. And ego is louder. But don't let that silence fool you. The absence of words doesn't mean the absence of emotion. It means conflict, internal conflict, the kind that haunts you in quiet moments and late-night thoughts. So if you've ever pulled back, not to play a game but to protect your soul, and they didn't come running, don't mistake that for not being missed. Sometimes the people who don't say a word are the ones screaming the loudest on the inside. And your silence? It forced them to listen. You didn't break, you broke free. Now it's your turn. Drop this in the comments if you've ever had to choose peace over explanation. I didn't break, I broke free. Show them, show yourself. Show the world what silent strength really looks like. And stay with me, because next we're diving into how your silence didn't just shake them. It became the mirror they can't escape. What they see in it, that's where the real regret begins. Number 2, your silence became the mirror. They couldn't escape. The hardest mirror to face is the one that reflects what we didn't value when we had it. They were ready for drama, prepared for arguments, braced for begging. What they weren't ready for was your silence. And not the kind of silence that's cold or cruel, but the kind that holds weight. The kind that says, "I'm done explaining my worth." Because silence is not absence, it's presence without performance. It's the loudest response to someone who never really listened in the first place. You didn't go missing. You just stopped pouring into a cup that never filled yours back. And suddenly, that quiet you left behind, it started talking, not to them directly, but through them, through their overthinking, through their late-night scrolling, through those empty moments when their distractions don't hit like they used to. See, you became the mirror. Not the kind they can just walk past, but the kind they feel. The kind that doesn't just reflect their face, it reflects the cost of their choices. And every time they look into it, they see what they lost. Not because you rubbed it in, but because your silence brought clarity. You used to be predictable, available, emotionally transparent. You gave without needing to be asked. You showed up even when they didn't. But when you withdrew, not in anger, not to manipulate, but to reclaim yourself, that's when everything changed. Because you didn't just disappear. You removed your energy, your attention, your validation. And that's what they truly miss. Not the texts, not the calls, but the stability, the emotional safety you provided, the feeling of being seen even when they didn't have the words. That calm you carried, it used to center them. They didn't notice it when you were there, but they feel it now that you're gone. That's the part ego tries to cover up. Because to admit they regret losing you, they'd have to admit something deeper. That your consistency made them feel whole. And they didn't appreciate it until it vanished. Now, everything around them is noise. New people, new posts, new moments, but nothing sticks. Because your absence became a mirror that doesn't lie. It shows them what they had, what they took lightly, what they can't replace. And you're no longer waiting for recognition. That's the power. You didn't stay quiet to punish. You stayed quiet to protect your peace. You realized your value doesn't increase when you beg to be seen. It shines brightest when you walk away with grace. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And your thoughts, they're no longer consumed by their inconsistency. You're not living in what-ifs. You're not checking their feed. You're not searching for closure in someone who never gave you clarity. You're coloring your soul with peace, purpose, and presence. And that's exactly why they can't forget you. You've become the unspoken comparison, the invisible standard, the name they don't say but feel every time something reminds them of you. A song, a scent, a street, a simple moment of quiet. That's when your silence hits the hardest, when they're alone with the mirror you left behind. But instead of facing it, they distract, they pretend, they double down on pride. Because the truth? It stings. You didn't need to close the door with fireworks. You simply stopped knocking and let them sit with the echo. And that echo is deafening. So let this be your reminder. You didn't lose anything. You returned to yourself. You became grounded, unshakable, stoic. And they're left staring at a reflection they weren't prepared to see. Not because you changed, but because you finally stopped shrinking. Drop this in the comments if you know what it feels like to become the mirror. I became the silence they can't unhear. Say it loud, say it proud. Show them, show yourself, show the world what stillness can reveal. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're pulling back the curtain on the performance they put on, and why every smile, every post, every "I'm doing fine" is just pride trying to hide what the mirror already exposed. Number 3. Their performance can't cover the pain. Some people smile not because they're healed, but because they're hiding. Let's call it what it is: a performance. A curated act to convince the world, maybe even themselves, that they're unbothered, that your absence didn't shake them, that losing you didn't cost them anything worth keeping. But deep down, they know better. And so do you, Because when someone truly moves on, they don't need an audience to clap for their healing. They just live, quietly, fully, authentically. But this sudden wave of posts, selfies, brunch dates, new chapter captions, and exaggerated laughter, it's not peace. It's panic dressed up like power. It's pride covering pain. They don't realize it, but their need to perform is the clearest evidence that something inside isn't sitting right. See, real healing doesn't demand validation. It doesn't beg to be seen. But ego throws a parade to distract from the funeral happening inside. And make no mistake, something did die when you walked away. Your presence, your patience, that calm energy that made them feel anchored even in chaos. Now they're trying to recreate it. Patch the holes with someone new. Smile louder, move faster. But nothing clicks the way it did when you were in the picture. Because you didn't bring noise, you brought depth. And depth can't be faked. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. They laugh in public, but they reminisce in private. They post the new date night, but then scroll through your old messages. They act cold when your name comes up, but their chest tightens just a little. That's not indifference, that's internal conflict. That's a soul wrestling with a truth it can't fully admit. I lost something real, and now I don't know how to get it back without breaking my pride. But let's break the lie right now, the one that says their performance means they're over it. No, friend. If someone truly didn't care, they wouldn't need to prove it. If they truly moved on, they wouldn't need to stage it. Because closure isn't loud, it's subtle, it's private, and it's peaceful. You didn't go on a campaign to show how healed you were. You just became healed. You did the hard thing. You faced the silence. You didn't numb it with new distractions. You didn't mask it with temporary affection. You sat with it, grew from it, rose through it, and now you are the proof, their reaction to your silence. That's the part they can't perform away, because it exposes what they've been trying to deny, that you weren't just another person in their life. You were the steady one, the rare one, the one who gave what they didn't know they needed until it was gone. Now every smile they post has a shadow behind it. Every "I'm doing great" echoes a little too loud, because they thought they could move on and forget. But instead, they're haunted by the absence they tried to replace too quickly. And you? You don't need to watch their stories. You don't need to decode their captions, because you already know what's real. You see behind the curtain. You've learned the difference between peace and performance. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." That's exactly what you did. You stopped performing. You stopped explaining. You just became. And in doing so, you became unforgettable. Their pride won't let them say, "I miss you." So instead, they act. But deep down, every post, every pretend laugh, every distraction, it all traces back to the one thing they won't admit. They regret losing you. So stand tall, stand grounded. You don't need a performance to prove your growth. Your silence is loud enough. Your peace is loud enough. Your presence, without effort, is the loudest thing they hear. If you've ever watched someone pretend while you stayed grounded, drop this in the comments. Their performance won't rewrite my peace. Say it with power. Say it with pride. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you no longer react to noise, because you've become the calm they didn't know they needed. Stay with me, because next, we're going deeper into the silent war between their heart and their ego, and how you became the one thing they feel the most, but can never say. Number 4, they feel it, but can't say it. The truth doesn't stop being true just because someone refuses to say it. They feel it. Every bit of it. The loss, the shift, the echo of your presence that still lingers in the quiet moments. But they'll never say it. not to you. Maybe not even to themselves, because saying it out loud would mean surrendering the one thing they've been clinging to since the moment you let go: control. Let's be real, my friends. They miss you. They miss your steadiness. They miss your calm. They miss that sense of being seen without having to perform. But instead of owning it, they act like nothing's changed, like they've healed, like they're better off. But behind that mask, there's a voice that keeps whispering, "You had something real, and you let it go." They feel it when they wake up and don't see a message from you. They feel it when they hear that song that reminds them of a moment only you two shared. They feel it in the pit of their stomach when someone brings up your name and they have to pretend it doesn't sting. That's not peace. That's regret in disguise. But their ego? It's stubborn. It won't let the words out. Because if they say it, if they say, "I miss you," or "I regret what I did," or "I see your worth now," then they also have to admit they were wrong, that they misjudged you, that they let go of someone solid, someone rare. And for people who live behind pride, that kind of vulnerability feels like death. So what do they do instead? They suppress. They distract. They try to rewrite the story in their head. They were too intense. They were too emotional. They were hard to read. But deep down, they know. You weren't too much. You were just enough. They just weren't ready. And now, they're haunted by the silence, not because you're punishing them, but because you've left them alone with the one thing they can't run from anymore, their own reflection. That's what your absence did. It didn't create a void. It created a mirror. You used to fill that space with reassurance, with effort, with presence. Now they sit in the silence of your retreat. And in that silence, the truth gets louder. It shows up in waves, in moments, in memories. And no matter how loud their pride tries to shout over it, the truth stays. The thing is, most people don't know how to apologize for what they didn't value in real time. They only know how to cope. So they cope through avoidance, through pretending, through forced indifference. But pretending not to care is not the same as not caring. They'll check your page but never like anything. They'll hear your name and flinch, but smile like it's nothing. They'll write the message, type the words, then delete it before pressing send. That's not strength. That's ego trying to survive its own mistake. And you? You don't need to hear the words to know what's true. You don't need an apology to validate your experience. That's the power of a Stoic mind. You see beyond behavior. You understand the gap between the surface and the soul. And while they wrestle with unsaid words and emotions they don't know how to name, you move forward. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Because as Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And your reaction was not reaction at all. It was a response, a retreat, a return to self. You didn't collapse when they left. You didn't chase. You didn't beg. You evolved. So now, while they sit with the weight of everything they can't say, you walk with the peace of everything you don't need to hear. And that silence, that's the part they'll feel forever. If you've ever sensed someone feeling your absence but refusing to admit it, drop this in the comments. They feel it. I don't need to hear it. Let it be a reminder, a declaration, a truth you no longer need outside confirmation for. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that clarity doesn't need closure. It creates its own. And stay with me, because in the next part, we'll explore what happens when they finally realize you're not just gone. You've moved on, and not back. Number 5. When they see you moved on, not moved back. You don't need to close the door when you carry the whole house with you. There comes a moment, a quiet, unsettling shift, when they realize you're not just silent, you've moved on. And not in the petty, rebound kind of way, not in the "let me show you how happy I am without you" kind of way. No, you moved on in the most terrifying way possible. You found peace. That's what they didn't expect. They thought you'd wait, that you'd linger in the shadows, that you'd keep one eye on them just in case they changed their mind. They thought your silence was a tactic, not a transformation. But as the days passed and your energy didn't return, that illusion started to break. They didn't just lose your attention, they lost access to your world. And suddenly, the door they assumed would always stay cracked was gone. Because you didn't just step back, you stepped forward. You stopped replaying the story in your head. You stopped trying to decode their mixed signals. You stopped giving them power over your emotions. And in that space, something powerful happened. You remembered who you were before you started shrinking to fit into places you had outgrown. And now they see it. Maybe it's your new focus, the way your eyes look sharper, the way your time is spent differently. Maybe it's the calm in your voice, the ease in your energy, the discipline in your movement. Whatever it is, they feel the shift. And here's the part that rattles their ego the most. You didn't become someone else to heal. You became more of who you really are. They thought your healing would revolve around them, that your growth would be performative, something to impress them, something to win them back. But you didn't grow to be seen. You grew because staying the same was killing you. That's the kind of healing no one prepares them for. Quiet, real, rooted. The kind of healing that doesn't send messages or wait for closure. The kind of growth that says, you don't have to see it, I'm living it. And now, they watch from a distance. Maybe not literally, maybe not through your stories or your page, but energetically, silently. The mind always circles back to the place where it felt most grounded. And for a long time, that was you. But now that you've moved on, they're not just feeling your absence. They're feeling the weight of your evolution. They're realizing you didn't just leave the room, you took the light with you. And that new people, they can't replicate what you brought. Because what you brought wasn't a performance, it was presence. Most people confuse presence with attention. But you didn't give attention, you gave stability. And now they see the difference. That every interaction since you feels lighter, more shallow, less steady. Because what you offered wasn't noise, it was peace. And peace, that's rare. That's what they can't replace. But admitting that, that's where the pride kicks in. They can't say, I see how much you've grown. They won't say, you're doing better without me. Instead, they'll go quiet. They'll act unfazed. But behind that silence is a storm, because what haunts them most is knowing you're no longer waiting. You're not hoping they come back. You're not sitting by the phone. You're living. With direction, with clarity, with purpose. And they can feel that shift, because your detachment wasn't emotional numbness. It was emotional maturity. And the moment they realized you weren't trying to come back, is the moment they started to want you back. But it's too late for that version of you. Epictetus once said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. And now, your freedom doesn't just protect your peace, it redefines your value. You no longer measure your worth by who stays. You measure it by how centered you stay when others leave. So if you've ever moved on, not with noise, not with bitterness, but with power, drop this in the comments. Moved on, not back. Let it echo, let it ring. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about remembering your worth and walking forward with it. And stay close, because up next, we're peeling back the truth they don't want to admit. How every new person they meet is compared to you, and why no one ever really measures up. Number 6. They compare every new person to you, and no one measures up. You don't miss the noise until you realize it was the only thing keeping you from hearing the truth. They thought it'd be easy, that moving on would be a breeze, that replacing you was just a matter of time and opportunity. A new face, a new vibe, a quick distraction to fill the silence you left behind. But here's what they didn't expect. Every new connection made your value louder. They didn't see it at first, because the truth doesn't always arrive with a warning. It sneaks in through contrast, through comparison, through moments when someone else is standing in front of them, and still, their mind drifts back to you. See, they thought your calm was boring, your discipline, predictable, your peace, too quiet. But now they're sitting across the table from people who can't hold eye contact, who only love bomb, who flinch at real emotions and melt under pressure. And suddenly, that boring consistency. It doesn't feel so boring anymore. It feels rare. It feels safe. It feels gone. Because the more they date, the more they notice the difference. One might have charm, but lacks patience. Another might be affectionate, but inconsistent. Someone else might seem exciting, but doesn't know how to hold space when it counts. And bit by bit, they start to see the truth. You weren't replaceable. You were misunderstood. That's what stings the most. Not just that they lost you, but that they misjudged you. That they were so used to chaos and emotional games that when something grounded came along, they didn't know how to receive it. They didn't know what to do with real. And now, they keep searching for someone who can match your quiet strength, only to find echoes of it in people who can't hold a candle to your presence. Because you didn't chase, you didn't impress, you didn't overperform. You simply were, grounded, patient, intentional. You gave from a full cup, not to be validated, but because it was in your nature. And that energy, that's not something you find scrolling through dating apps or jumping into someone else's arms. That energy is built, earned, rare. And now, every interaction since you feels a little less whole, a little more performative, a little more surface. But do they tell you that? No, pride won't allow it. Admitting it would mean looking you in the eyes and saying, you were it, and I didn't see it. And for someone who left thinking they'd upgrade, that's too much weight to carry. So they pretend, they laugh, they show off someone new. But the performance doesn't match the feeling, because deep down they know they lost the one person who didn't need to be loud to be powerful. They lost the one soul who didn't try to impress, because you were already impressed with your own direction. And now they compare. Every new voice, every new touch, every new laugh. They try to feel something that once came naturally with you, but it doesn't hit the same. Because what you brought wasn't chemistry, it was clarity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And now their thoughts are consumed by you, not because you asked to be remembered, but because you became unforgettable, not by chasing, not by clinging, but by walking away with grace. That's what they didn't see coming. You didn't grow bitter, you grew better. You didn't try to replace them, you replaced the need for them. You filled the space they left with self-respect, with purpose, with truth. And now, they sit with the aftermath, not of your words, but of your absence. And every time they feel a lack of depth in someone new, every time they sense instability, uncertainty, emotional immaturity, they remember you. And what was once ordinary to them has now become the standard they can't seem to find again. So if you've ever become the quiet standard, the person they now use to measure everyone else, drop this in the comments. I became the one they can't replace. Let it be known. Say it without arrogance. Say it with peace. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that when you walk in truth, even silence leaves an echo. Stay with me, because next, we uncover the hardest pill for them to swallow. Your growth didn't just make you better. It exposed how much they've stayed the same. Number 7. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Sometimes your glow-up doesn't just inspire people, it disturbs the ones who thought you'd never outgrow them. They weren't watching to celebrate you. They were watching to see if you'd fall apart without them. That's the twisted truth. Deep down, they expected you to struggle, to spiral, to stay stuck in the same place they left you in, waiting, wondering, doubting yourself. But what they didn't expect was your evolution. Not loud, not for show, just real, undeniable growth. And now, every glimpse they get of you, whether through a story, a shared space, or just a word from someone else, feels like a spotlight exposing the truth they tried to bury. You're not where they left you. You've moved forward. And worse for them, you've moved upward. You started pouring your energy back into yourself. You began building, reading more, training more, resting better, creating, healing, protecting your peace like it's sacred ground. Because now it is, and it shows, not just in your actions, but in your aura. You walk different now, you speak different, you're not proving anymore, you're becoming. And they feel that. They might never say it out loud, but they're watching. They see the shift, and it bothers them, not because they hate your growth, but because it confronts their lack of it. You became a mirror, and they weren't ready for the reflection. Because for every inch you climbed, they stayed still. While you were facing your wounds, they were busy pretending theirs didn't exist. While you were breaking cycles, they were repeating them. And now the contrast is too loud to ignore. At one point, they had influence over you. They could pull away and you'd chase. They'd go silent and you'd break. But now, you don't flinch. You don't fold. You don't respond. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. And that clarity, it rattles them. They tell themselves stories to cope. They've changed. They're just acting different. They think they're better now. But deep down, they know the truth. You didn't become arrogant. You became aligned. You're not performing. You're protecting. You're not detached out of spite. You're focused out of necessity. And here's what hits the hardest. You didn't grow to impress them. You grew because staying the same started to cost you too much. Peace, confidence, identity. You made a decision, evolve or repeat, and you chose evolve. That decision, it exposed everything they weren't ready to face, their laziness, their emotional immaturity, their inability to self-reflect. Because while you were in the dark building discipline, they were in the light chasing distractions. You started investing in things that don't post well on social media. Mental strength, boundaries, purpose, emotional mastery. And now your very existence challenges the narrative they told themselves about you. They said you were weak. Now you walk like you know who you are. They thought you were lost. Now you move with direction. They believed you'd chase. Now they wonder if you even care. That's not revenge. That's growth doing its job. And you don't need to throw it in their face. You don't have to say a word, because your life now speaks fluently. It says, I've outgrown the version of myself who needed to be chosen by someone unsure. And that message? It cuts deeper than any quote, any post, any comeback ever could. Marcus Aurelius said, let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already. And that's exactly where you live now, in the gratitude of your progress. You're not obsessing over what they didn't give. You're building with what they couldn't take. Your will, your worth, your vision. So if you've ever watched your own growth reveal who was never growing with you, drop this in the comments. My growth exposed their comfort. Say it with pride, with grace, with calm. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that transformation is the best truth teller. And stay close, because next we're peeling back the final layer when they want to return, but pride won't let them knock, and you're no longer waiting by the door. Number 8, they want to come back, but pride locks the door. They miss you, but their ego would rather lose you than admit they were wrong. There's a war going on inside them, not the kind you can see on the outside. On the surface, everything looks fine, maybe even great. But inside, they're standing at the edge of a door they once slammed, now wondering if they should knock, and too afraid to admit they want to. They think about you more often than they'll ever admit. They write the message. They hover over the send button. They sit with your name on their screen for minutes that feel like hours. And yet, nothing. Why? Because reaching out would mean collapsing the identity they've built since you walked away. It would mean cracking the mask of confidence and exposing the fear underneath. I pushed away someone who actually saw me. And now, I don't know how to get them back. And that's the battle. The part you don't see. The part they'll never show. They might tell themselves you wouldn't care, that you've already moved on, that too much time has passed. But deep down, they know. That's not the real reason they're staying silent. The real reason? Pride. Pride is louder than their longing. And in their mind, keeping control still matters more than finding peace. So they stay quiet, not because they've healed, but because reaching out would mean surrendering the last piece of leverage they think they have. But here's the twist. They don't realize you're not even waiting anymore. You're not checking your phone hoping they'll come to their senses. You're not sitting in emotional limbo wondering if you still matter to them. You're too focused on becoming everything you were always meant to be. Because here's what they missed while they were stuck in their ego. You didn't pause your growth waiting for their return. You built in silence. You healed in silence. You thrived in silence. And now you're not who you were when they left. That's what haunts them. They want to come back, but the version of you they once knew doesn't exist anymore. You've upgraded. You've elevated. You've evolved. And walking back through that door now would mean facing a reflection of everything they avoided. Because you don't just represent a past they regret, you represent a standard they still can't reach. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. So they play it cool. They keep their distance. Maybe they post a subtle memory. Maybe they like an old photo. Maybe they test the waters with a casual message and then disappear again. But none of it is real connection. It's all a dance around the truth they won't face. They miss you, but they're not strong enough to say it. And you? You don't need them to. Because real closure doesn't come from someone else's words. It comes from your own self-respect. From realizing that even if they came back with flowers and apologies and all the right words, it still wouldn't change who you've become. Because the peace you found after them is too expensive to trade for nostalgia. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And that's what you did. You stopped trying to control the outcome. You stopped wishing they'd return and started creating a life they wouldn't recognize. You stopped needing the apology because you became the answer. So now they're left on the other side of a door they don't know how to open, and every day they stay silent. They feel it more. That weight, that longing, that slow burn of realizing the only thing keeping them from peace is themselves. But a Stoic soul doesn't wait for validation. You don't chase clarity, you become it. So if you've ever felt that energy, If you've ever known deep down they wanted to return, but their pride held them hostage, drop this in the comments. Pride closed the door. I didn't wait by it. Say it with grace. Say it with power. Say it for yourself. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that when your peace becomes the priority, no apology is required. So let's bring it all together. They regret losing you, but their ego won't let them say it. And that's the silent battle they'll have to fight on their own, because you didn't walk away to be chased. You walked away to choose yourself. And that decision, that's what changed everything. You didn't wait by the door. You didn't hope for an apology. You became the version of yourself who doesn't need one. Let them feel it. Let them wrestle with the silence. Let your growth be the loudest thing they hear. Because the truth is, regret doesn't always show up with words. Sometimes it shows up in glances, in hesitation, in the way they fumble to pretend you never mattered. But you know better now. You've seen behind the mask. And if this message spoke to something deep in you, something real, drop a comment below and type, "I outgrew who waited." Let others see they're not alone. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and make sure you subscribe, because we're just getting started. Your silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Stay grounded, stay powerful, stay stoic.